Hello, hi everyone. This is Sandhya. I'm your botany lecturer. In this lecture, I'm going to teach about the flower. Okay, the flower. Flower is the is a modified shoot, as we have studied in the earlier. As we have studied earlier, that flower is a modified shoot. Flower is the reproductive unit of the angiosperms. Angiosperms are the flowering plants which bear flowers, and this flower, what for the flower is useful? The flower is the reproductive unit and it contains the reproductive parts. As it contains the reproductive parts, it's the reproductive unit of the angiosperms, flowering plants. Then it is useful for the sexual reproduction, mainly for sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction means where the involvement of gametes are there, male and female gametes are present. Asexual reproduction means any part of the plant other than the flower. But here the flower is the reproductive unit of angiosperms and it is useful for sexual reproduction. Here the flower, four different whorls are arranged on the bulged surface called as thalamus. So this is called as thalamus or receptacle, where four different whorls are arranged. Okay, four different whorls are arranged. In the first four different whorls are arranged. The first whorl is calyx, this one, this part, then corolla, this petals part, androecium and gynoecium. But before that, we will discuss about something about this, the stalk of the flower. The stalk of the flower is called as pedicel. The stalk of the flower is called as pedicel. And just here at the base of the pedicel, bract is present. Bract is an appendage where the flower is protected in the bud condition. Then on the pedicel, the appendages are also present. These appendages are called as bracteoles. So if bract is present, such type of flower is called as bracteate. If bracteoles are present, such type of flower is called as bracteolate. Then after that, the bulged portion, thalamus, on which the four different whorls are present. Coming on to the first whorl is the calyx. Calyx is a scientific word. Generally, it is called as sepals. Then second innermost whorl is the corolla. Generally, they are called as petals. So this sepals and petals are the accessory organs, or you can call them as non-essential parts. They are not that much important. See, first I told you it is a reproductive unit, useful for sexual reproduction. So these two parts, sepals and petals, doesn't play an important role, major role. They doesn't play major role in the sexual reproduction, but they play their role is to attract the insects for pollination. If pollination occurs, then only the reproduction occurs. So mainly the petals, which are colored parts, they attract the insects and help in the pollination. Means transfer of pollen grains from one flower to another flower. In detail, we will study in the next lecture. Then, so these are the accessory organs, non-essential parts. Then coming on to the third innermost pole is nothing but the androecium, stamens. Stamens are the male reproductive organs. Gynoecium is the female reproductive unit. It is the female reproductive unit. Then sometimes what happens, the sepals and petals will be fused together to form a perianth part. They are not called as sepals and petals. They are called as perianth members. They are present in lily or liliaceae members. Liliaceae members, they are called as perianth parts. Then this is the androecium is the male reproductive organ. Gynoecium is the female reproductive organ. So if both male reproductive organ and female reproductive organ both are present, such type of flower is called as bisexual flower. Both are present. If either androecium or gynoecium are present, they are called as unisexual flowers. Or you can say if only stamens are present, they are called as staminate flowers. If only gynoecium is present, it is called as pistillate flowers. It's called as pistillate flowers, unisexual flowers. Then coming on to the symmetry of this particular flower. Symmetry. See, when we cut a flower in any plane passing through the center, such type of flowers are called as actinomorphic flowers. This is based on the types of flowers based on symmetry. So actinomorphic flowers. When a flower can cut in any plane passing through the center and making into two equal halves, such type of flower is called as actinomorphic, represented by like this. When we can cut the flower into two equal halves only in one direction, only in one plane passing through the center. Okay? In any direction, any plane, if we can cut into two equal halves, that is actinomorphic. If we can cut the flower and make into two equal halves passing through the center only in one time, only in one plane, the such type of flower is called as zygomorphic flower. Zygomorphic flower represented like this. When we cannot cut the flower into any plane, when we cannot make into two equal halves in any plane, such type of flower is called as asymmetric flower. Such type of flower is called as asymmetric flower. Then coming on to the number of based on the number of petals and sepals, the flowers are called as trimerous. Trimerous when 3 sepals and 3 petals are present. Tetramerous flowers when the flowers are having 4 sepals and 4 petals. Pentamerous flowers when the sepals or petals are 5. Like that. Trimerous, tetramerous and pentamerous based on the number of the non-essential parts. Then after that we are going to discuss about the types of flowers based on the arrangement of the floral parts. So the flowers are divided into 3 parts based on the formation of the androecium and gynoecium, androecium, petals, stamens, petals and sepals. Based on the position of the ovary. Based on the position of the ovary, the flowers are divided into 3 types. Hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous. Epigynous flowers based on the position of the ovary. Here in hypogynous flower, this is the ovary. This is the ovary. From below the ovary, the sepals, the petals and the stamens are going to come. Below this ovary. Okay. So this is a hypogynous flower. Means here the sepals, petals and stamens are coming below the ovary, making the ovary superior, highest position. So hence here this ovary is superior ovary. Such type of flowers can be seen in mustard, China rose and brinjal. This is hypogynous flower. Coming on to perigynous. What happens? The ovary will be present like this, and at the periphery of the thalamus, the petals, the stamens are going to come. Where the position of the ovary and the other appendages are at the same level. Here the ovary will be half inferior, half superior. Half inferior and half superior. Half superior. The very good examples are nothing but plum, rose, and peach. Okay. From the periphery, the other appendages are coming. From the periphery of the thalamus, the other appendages are coming. It is perigynous. Coming on to the epigynous. Here, the thalamus becomes a cup-like thing surrounding the ovary. Surrounding the ovary. Like this. Like this. Surrounding the ovary. The thalamus will be covering the ovary, and here the sepals, the petals, and the petals are going to come androecium and gynoecium, making the ovary inferior ovary. Inferior ovary, because all of the appendages like sepals, petals, the stamens are coming above the ovary, making the ovary inferior. So such type of flowers are called as epigynous. Epigynous, above the gynoecium, the other appendages are coming up. The very good examples are nothing but guava, cucumber, and ray florets of sunflower. Ray florets of sunflower. Ray florets of sunflower. So these are the three types of flowers based on the position of calyx, corolla, and androecium on the thalamus with respect to that of the ovary. Okay. Then coming on to the parts of flowers now. Okay. So the first innermost wall is calyx. Calyx. This is a scientific botanical term. Generally we call it as sepals. These sepals are green leaf-like structures. When these sepals are free, when they are just free, such type of sepals are called as polysepalous. When they are fused, when they are joined together, the sepals are fused, they are called as gamosepalous. Calyx. Then coming on to the next wall is corolla. Corolla, generally we call them as petals. Corolla part is the colored portion where they are useful for insect pollination. They attract the insects, and the insects are going to come, and the pollen grains will be attached to the wings and the legs, and they help in the pollination. So these are the attractive colored part of the flower. When the petals are free, they are called as polypetalous. When they are fused, they are called as gamopetalous. And then based on the shape, the different shapes are present, like tubular shape, bilipped shape, Tubular shape is present in disc florets of sunflower. Disc floret of sunflower. Bilipped is present in ocimum, tulsi. Then funnel shaped in datura, funnel shaped. This is about the shape of the corolla. Funnel shaped in datura. This is about the shape of the corolla. Then based on the arrangement of the sepals and petals in a bud condition, there are four types. So that the arrangement of sepals and petals in the bud condition is called as estivation. Okay, arrangement of sepals and petals in bud condition is called as estivation. There are four types. Okay, first one is valvate estivation. Valvate estivation. In valvate estivation, they just touch each other. They do not overlap. They just touch each other like this. This is valvate estivation. They're side to side. The petals or the sepals are side to side, and they don't overlap at all. Very good example is Calotropis. In Calotropis, such type of arrangement of petals and sepals is there. They just touch each other. They don't overlap but just touch each other. This is valvate estivation. Coming on to second type, twisted estivation, where the petals or sepals, they just overlap. One of the margin will be overlapping the other margin like this. One of the margin will be overlapping the other margin of the other petal. Then the margin of this petal or sepal is overlapped by the margin of this petal. So this here the one of the margins are overlapped by one and the other. So such type of estivation is called as twisted estivation. This is observed in China rose, that is hibiscus, China rose, lady's finger, Ebelmoschus esculentum is the scientific name. Then in cotton, such type of estivation we can observe. This is twisted estivation. Coming on to the third type, which is called as imbricate estivation. Imbricate estivation. Here what is there? The overlapping of the margins of the petals or the sepals occur at the same time. One of them will be completely outside and the other will be completely inside. Such a way they are arranged. See the beauty of the nature, how the flowers and the how the petals are arranged. They are arranged in a pattern anamata. So here this particular petal is completely inside. Is completely inside. And one of them will be completely outside. Petal or a sepal. So such type of this petal or sepal is completely inside. It is overlapped inside by these petals or sepals. Then the margins of this petal, sepal or petal are completely outside. They are not overlapped. These are completely, the two margins are overlapped. So this is imbricate estivation. The such type of imbricate estivation can be observed in Gulmohar and Cassia. There can be observed in Gulmohar and in Cassia. You can observe such type of estivation. Then the fourth type of estivation is called as vexillary estivation, or you can say papilionaceous estivation. This is the characteristic feature of Fabaceae members. The example of Fabaceae members is pea and bean. Okay, it's called as vexillary estivation. Okay, here a largest petal will be present like this. This is called as standard petal. This will be overlapping the two lateral petals. Then these two lateral petals are going to overlap the other two petals. They are fused together. So this is called as standard petal. These are lateral or wing petals. These two are fused, no? These are keel petals. So this is the characteristic feature of Fabaceae members. Examples are P and B. Such type of estivation is called as vexillary estivation or papilionaceous estivation. It is also called as papilionaceous corollas, like that. Then this is about the arrangement of the sepals and petals in the bud condition. Nicely they are arranged. It's a wonderful thing in nature. Then coming on to the third innermost fold, the andrecium part, the male reproductive part. Andrecium, or you can say stamens. They are represented by stamens. The stamens are having two parts. The stalk is called as filament, and this filament is attached to the anther. The tip of the filament is attached with the anther. This anther, mostly it will be bilobed. Bilobed, having two chambers, and these two chambers will be having two pollen sacs. This inside the pollen sacs, the pollen grains will be present. These pollen grains are nothing but the male gametes. Okay, male gametes. This is the male reproductive part. Male reproductive part. Anther. Then this anther is nothing but the micro. It bears the microsporangium. Here two chambers are present. Here this is bilobed. Two chambers are present, and two locules will be present. So here this bears the microsporangium, which will be producing the microspore. The microspore is nothing but the pollen grain, which is nothing but the male reproductive part. Then sometimes what happens, these stamens may fuse with that of the petals. When they are fused with the petals, such type of condition is called as epipetalous. It can be seen in brinjal. Epipetalous. In some plants like lily, liliaceae members, these sepals and they are not differentiated into sepals and petals. They are just perianth members. They are just perianth members. Okay. So when these stamens are attached to perianth members, such type of condition is called as epiphyllous. Such type of condition is called as epiphyllous, which can be seen in lily. Then sometimes what happens, in some flowers many stamens will be present. These stamens can be free. In some plants these stamens are free, so hence it is called as polyandrous. When they are free, they are called as polyandrous. Sometimes these stamens form into one tube like fusion will be there. The fusion is called as adelphi. If it forms into one tube, it is called as monoadelphous. If it is forming into a single tube, it can be seen in China rose, Hibiscus rosa sinensis. If it forms into two bundles, it is called as didelphous. Didelphous in P and D. Two tubes are there. Sometimes what happens, they form into many bundles. That is called as polyadelphous. This such type of condition we can see in citrus. And sometimes what happens, they are present at different heights. So they are present in different heights, like in salvinia. This is about the male reproductive part, androecium. Coming on to the female reproductive part, gynoecium. The female reproductive part, gynoecium. Or it can also be called as carpel, or it can also be called as pistil. Pistil is a female reproductive part. It can be differentiated into three parts. It is stigma, style, and ovary. Okay, like this. So the basal swollen portion is called as ovary. Then ovary is connected with that of the stigma with the help of elongated tube called as style. It is an elongated tube. It connects the stigma and the ovary. The stigma is nothing but the receptive surface of the pollen grain. Okay, or you can say the tip of the carpel is nothing but the tip of the pistil is nothing but the stigma. So the stigma and ovary are connected by elongated tube called as style. So these are the parts of the carpel or pistil. Okay, so if only pistil is present, they are called as pistillate flowers. Then Then inside the ovary, the ovules will be present. These ovules are attached to that of the ovary with the help of a flattened structure called as placenta. a flattened structure where the ovules are going to attach to that of the ovary is called as placenta. So after fertilization, when the pollen grain falls on the stigma and it passes onto the ovule through this style, and when the pollen grain fuses with the ovule, when it gets fertilized. After fertilization, fusion of male and female gametes, after fertilization, this ovary develops into fruit, then the ovule develops into seed. So the seed is attached to that of the fruit with the help of placenta, or you can say the ovule is attached to the ovary with the help of placenta. Here the arrangement of the ovules is different. The arrangement of the placenta is different. So based on the arrangement of placenta, the arrangement is called as placentation. Different plants are having different placentation. The arrangement of placenta in the ovary is called as placentation. The arrangement of placenta inside the ovary is called as placentation. It is of again 5 types. First type is marginal placentation. Marginal placentation, where this is the ovary like this. Here the placenta, here the ovules are attached on the surface, onto one side of the ovary. This is marginal placentation. It is present in pea or bean. It's a characteristic feature of the Fabaceae members. Then axial placentation. Second one is axial placentation, where here the ovary will be present, and here a central axis will be present. On the central axis, the ovules will be attached, and it is multilocular ovary, means many locules are present. This is axial placentation. It can be seen in lemon and tomato. Lemon and tomato. Lemon and tomato. The third one is the parietal placentation. Parietal placentation means to the inside of the ovary, the ovules are attached. Like this. To the inside of the periphery of the ovary, the ovules are attached. It can be seen in cucumber. This is parietal placentation. Then the fourth one. Second one is axial. Third one is parietal. Fourth one is free and central. Free and central in the sense the ovary will be present like this. Onto the central axis it will be present. Sometimes it can be unilocular. Sometimes a false septum may be present, such that making the unilocular ovary into the bilocular ovary. It can be seen in dianthus, free and central placentation, and also primrose. In primrose also the free and central placentation is present. Then after free and central placentation, the fifth type is basal placentation. Basal placentation. Here it's a unilocular ovary having a single seeded one, where at the base of the ovary the seed is attached. The placenta is present, and here only single seeded. At the base of the ovary the seeds are attached, the placenta are present. Example, sunflower. Marigold or Asteraceae members or composite members. Thank you.